And we will start with the front page of the Daily Telegraph there. Over on the left, Starmer backs working from home to boost productivity. Part of the workers' rights reforms that Angela Rayner, Deputy Prime Minister, is bringing in. They're talking about the right to switch off. They're talking about working from home, boosting productivity, which is the big aim of this government, isn't it? To get people producing more, part of this push to get more growth for the economy. And they're saying that working from home could be a key to that, as opposed to presenteeism. Is that a term you've heard before, Esther?
I have not heard that term. Although I think if working from home boosted productivity, most companies would do that because they're getting like a good deal for their money. I don't really understand why working from home is so controversial, because obviously it depends on what you do. I think we have to be careful to not sound like sort of M25 bubble elitists that think everyone can work from home from a laptop. Your plumber can't work from home, your electrician can't, construction workers can't. I think we have to, when we have this conversation, we have to have a real recognition that a lot of people, probably half of the workforce, simply cannot work from home, or else most things won't get done.
Is this the rights of the middle classes then?
Well, yeah, it sounds like exactly something I would expect from like a North London-based lawyer, really. Okay. And I don't necessarily, I don't think this makes him a bad person. I don't think this, I'm not making a moral judgment, but you have to be careful about how elitist it can sound, because we have to remember people, like a lot of people couldn't work from home during COVID. The people that had to fix our toilets and our sort of wiring and all of that, they just couldn't. And for some reason, they got lost in the conversation because you have like Keir Starmer being like, work from home is great. Yeah, you can do it, right? But most people can't.
Jacob Rees-Mogg famously went round civil service desks, leaving notes saying, looking forward to seeing you back in the office.
Well, yeah, I mean,
is that presenteeism?
I don't think so, because there's some jobs I do think that benefit from the collaborative nature of actually being in an office and having conversations face to face. And this is why I said it depends on what you do. It depends on what your boss thinks is the best way to get the most out of people. I just think there's actually a class divide with the whole kind of work from home debate that people don't really recognise when they talk about it.
Really interesting. Michael, what do you think? Are you more productive when you're at home, working from home, or when you're in an office around other people?
I'm a 50-50 guy.
Yeah.
You know, I like to do half my work at home, half my work in the office. I agree with the critique of presenteeism. So I think that idea that sort of you get into work at a certain time, you leave at a certain time, and it doesn't really matter what you're doing in that period. You could just be sort of on your laptop playing solitaire or something. I think that is the culture in some workplaces.
Yeah.
Totally take your point that not everyone can work from home. But what we are seeing here is a big shift from the narrative we were getting from the Conservative government. You mentioned Jacob Rees-Mogg there. But their position was sort of, the reason we have low productivity in this country is because everyone's so lazy.
Yeah, it was very like
people want to stay at home, no one wants to work hard. Let's sort of start whipping people a little bit harder so they work a little bit harder, and that raises productivity. And I think Labour are on a more sensible track, which is to say, actually, the reason we have low productivity in this country isn't because we're just a work-shy nation. It's because we haven't invested properly in industries and in sort of the various sectors.
I will say, though, that I think work from home should also have sort of an age cap. So I think as a young graduate, I wouldn't have benefited from working from home at the start of my career, one, because I worked in sales, and it's actually good to be in that environment, watching people doing what they're doing and having that. It's more important at the start of your career to have that collaborative nature to your work. I absolutely think so. And I think managers and mentors and young sort of workers should really have that in-person, face-to-face contact. And I also think that young people often, their skills are not developed if they start the entirety of their career. They've always worked from home.
You need to be around other people.
Absolutely. I think the first 5 years of your career, you should have that sort of more office-based role, because you just need to hone those skills, and you can't get that later on in your career. It's a lot more difficult to develop those skills.
The one thing I take issue with here is how working from home and the right to switch off work with each other, because I feel if I'm working at home, actually, the work day can be 24 hours long. You know, when is that moment? I know if I get on a train and leave the office, that's time for me to, I'm allowed to stop thinking about work, whereas this, you can just keep going all day.
Well, I suppose that's why he... and you think people should keep going all day if they
No,
they
I'm
can.
quite the opposite.
Well, so he is saying that, or Keir Starmer and his government are saying that if we sort of encourage people to... I don't think they are going to be encouraging people to work from home, let's be real. I think the idea is we're fine with people working from home if productivity stays high. And then also you get this right to switch off. So at 5 p.m. you've clocked off. I mean, I personally have no problem with, like, my boss emailing me at 7 p.m. as long as I'm not expected to reply.
Well, yeah,
I might reply,
in France,
I might not.
It's illegal after 6 p.m. to email like a colleague or whatever. But I think that's perfect. Like, you can email me, you just won't receive a response.
Well, I tell you what, working in TV, if you don't take emails after six o'clock, you do not get much work. And I think that's the reality for a lot of people, that right to switch off is counterbalanced by the need to be employed, particularly if you're freelance, self-employed. That's not going to work for those people.
It depends on what you do. Like, we work holidays. I actually don't recognise bank holidays and whatever, because it's just a normal work day for me. So again, it depends on what you do. But I think to conflate the two is not necessarily very accurate. There are some bosses that just have no respect for the boundaries and for the personal time of the employees, and that absolutely is the case. But I don't think that has anything to do with working from home.